Good evening and welcome to the Star
Are you
Chamber
a
Show
creative
live
person working a
podcast.
9-to-5 job to survive?
And
Let's look
sorry
at how
about
to
that. I
keep
hit the
your
wrong button
energy
here.
and joy
Just a
alive
second. Just a
with
second. I had to hit the wrong button to start the show. But yes, it's going to be a very, very good show tonight. And tonight is episode number 464. And we're going to have a great guest for you just after the first segment of the show. We'll be getting them on just after that. But first, we want to definitely cover some of the Imaginarium news. And joining me in the co-host seat tonight is the vivacious, the loquacious, and the audacious Holly Phillippe. And she will be joining me in progress in just a few minutes. And we're looking into the chat room. It is open and working. So, yes, of course, we take questions, comments from the chat room. So, during the live show. So, please do join in. And award-winning author and screenwriter Carol Preflatish. And we also have Everton Hugh in there to start the group off. And we also have tonight's guests. But I will wait for that introduction for just a little bit. So just hang on there. So, and KB Carlisle is in the house. Yes, love KB Carlisle. Great author, and welcome to the show. So first and foremost, though, we want to definitely get in the news about Imaginarium, update you on everything since last week. We announced a lot of new programming last week, and we did announce a final group that hadn't been publicly posted. Sorry, I'll get that straight. Publicly posted. So it was a small group, about 8 panels at the end there, but we had another group of 7 added to that. So I'm going to go ahead and run through the full group that was added at the end, so you guys are fully up to date. And then we also had some new guests and to share with you, and we got some new guests coming. We'll give you some scoop on tonight. So tonight, yes, we're going to give you the latest panels, auditioning for indie projects. And so that's one that definitely filmmakers and actors will want to pay close attention to. Beyond the algorithm, building your brand's platform with social media. So it's insights into a lot of the major platforms, X, Blue Sky, Threads, Facebook, TikTok, all of them. So how to build your platform using various types of social media. Confessions of a Plot Hole. It's going to be a panel all about, plot holes. Yeah, you can tell what they're about by the titles most often. And then we have a panel on crafting a marketing blueprint for book success. And of course, everybody loves those marketing panels. We also have crowdfunding can still work. And that is, of course, a panel on how to run successful crowdfunding campaigns, and industry professionals that do them well are going to be talking about that. Yes, a lot of people do crowdfunding now. It's a very crowded field, no pun intended, but definitely a very valuable one. And midstream here, I'll go ahead and welcome Holly. Looks Holly has just checked in. Hey,
I'm
Holly.
here. Hi, I'm here.
There you
Oh,
are. I'm just giving the updates, Holly. Yeah, I got a
keep it
few.
right ahead.
We had a
I've been
few.
busy bee.
Yes, you have. Yep, and we'll definitely pull together whatever updates you have, Holly, once I get through these, and we'll share them with everyone. And then we also have, going down the list of other added panels, distribution and marketing in the evolving film landscape. We also have screenplays for page and screen. We have show, don't tell, and when to break the rule. Yes, that's true. Yeah, often rules of the craft are meant to be broken at certain times. So that's going to be an intriguing panel. The collaborative story challenge. Then we also have the engine of story, talking about the identifying internal and external conflicts and raising the stakes to drive your narrative forward. We also have a panel on the writer's mind, nurturing mental health in a creative life. We also have thriving as an indie actor, another good one for those of you into filmmaking and indie acting. What's your character's playlist, music and as muse and method. And then we
That is
have,
going to be so
yeah,
much fun.
that's going to be a good one. And yeah, I know Holly always has some great people that she puts on that one, so this will be no exception this year. Got some great folks that'll be put on that one. And we have world building in 60 minutes, the collaborative map. And that's exactly what you think it is, a full panel
Yep.
on world building, and then your book, your path. And it's this is going to be a panel of literary agents, editors, successful self-published and hybrid published authors that are going to demystifying each path and sharing insights into what it takes to succeed. And so, yeah, it's going to be a really good one, I think, as well. But those are the new programming additions, the latest ones. And yeah, if you haven't seen the programming list, it is huge. It's a big one. There will be a few more things added, and we'll of course update you. But yes, the bulk of the programming is posted for your browsing convenience on the Imaginarium site. Then we also thanked Alchemy Productions and Terry Chambers for becoming our latest Imaginarium 2025 individual patron. And yes, and if you're inclined to become one, these really help. And yes, in the last month and a half, to help us get the word out in a big way, they help a lot. So please do, check those out. Our individual patron sponsorships, and they're not Patreon, so they're not like a monthly thing. It's a one-time fee to be one. So I'd like to clarify that, because sometimes I get that question. Then we also have two people that are brand new as panelists to Imaginariums, and that's author Ron McMillan and author Tom Skaggs, both joining us as official panelists. And then we have the return of a very popular panelist, author Lee E. Stone, or as I love to call him, Lee of the 5 E's. Yeah, that's a great use that moniker with him when you meet him. He'll know where you got it for sure. So, Lee of the 5 E's. Yeah, Lee is a character, and he's a great writer. And then, last but not least, we also welcomed aboard as a spotlighted guest, award-winning screenwriter, filmmaker, and actor Silvio Wolf Bush. And so Silvio's amazing. He's worked in a lot of movies, and he's worked alongside actors like Adam Driver, Kiefer Sutherland, Kelly McGillis, James Spader, Willem Dafoe, Charlize Theron, and just worked with so many people in so many projects. And he's always willing to share what he knows about the craft when it comes to acting. And he's also an expert when it comes to military and firearms. And he usually conducts a workshop on that at the convention, if you attended it last year, as far as firearm safety on set. So great guy, and definitely one to meet. So Holly, did you have some updates? Because that brings everybody up to speed on what the latest is.
Well, I have. Did you mention the workshop that Elizabeth Donald is going to be doing, called Barbarians at the Gate?
Yes, that was announced. Yeah, in the group last week. Yeah, that was announced.
Okay, because that's going to be discussing book banning. I also have one that I've not added to the list yet. I don't have it on there, but it's on my list. But Stephen did know about it. But here you go. Steve's going to find out about it about the same time you all are. A great novelist that we met through a Michael Nost workshop that we went to West Virginia at last year. We had a great weekend. It was so nice. We met Rebecca Cuthbert and a whole bunch of people. But anyway, Mr. Ed Downs was there, and he's coming out of the gate screaming. I mean, he is just doing all kinds of things. Great feller, and he's going to do a workshop. It's going to be called Build It and They Will Come, launching an author platform that attracts readers. He is a publishing marketing specialist and a novelist. So he's going to guide writers through essential components of building and launching an author platform designed to grow readership and generate book sales. Whether you're pre-publication or looking to amplify your reach after launching, this session will demystify the process with clear, practical steps you could take immediately. This is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, that sure will. And Ed is great. I mean, he's a great guy, and definitely sharp as a tack. I mean, he's really a very intelligent fellow, and knows his material. And so that'll be a workshop well worth attending, most definitely. And
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. And then also the royalty that I don't know why I said Mrs. Jennifer Noran will be doing on Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock. There will be a sign up sheet at registration. It's limited to 20. It'll be sponsored by the Viridian Tea Company, Imaginarium, um,
and Bourbon City Steam.
Bourbon City Steam, Queen
Mm-hmm.
City Steam, and it's going to be a tea duel, which it's going to be really neat. At first, we was just going to do tea, and then she thought about something really cool, and we discussed it. And she's going to give away medals for winners, and you're going to get to try some really cool tea blends from Viridian Tea, which is going to be interesting. And the names of the teas are just fantastic. I love it. She's got Caligula's herbal nerve tonic, chamomile, orange peel, rose hips, and peppermint. That's a great one. From the Viridian Tea Company, Kimberly Richardson. She's also an author, and she has been at Imaginarium. We've got to try to get her back. She lives out
Mhm,
west, and we need
mhm.
it. But she's going to donate some teas, and
Mhm.
she's even going to give us some for swag bags. So I thought that was really cool too.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. And yeah,
Yeah.
definitely great to have this collaboration between all these groups too with this particular event too. Yeah, as
Yes.
far as all the steampunk folks are going to be collaborating with us on this. That's gonna be a lot of fun, and
Yeah,
we
that's
do
gonna
have
be fun.
one more scoop to give you tonight. This has not been announced, but we have a great announcement for the film festival side of things. Green Apple Entertainment has two folks coming. They're going to be spotlighted guests. And Green Apple Entertainment is headquartered in Boca Raton, Florida, and they also have offices in Cincinnati, Ohio. And under their umbrella, they have Green Apple Pictures, Green Apple Music, Green Apple Post, and the streaming channel Green Apple Go. And yeah, they do everything from distribution to production, and they are just awesome. And we are
And they're
really
gonna take
excited.
appointments.
Yeah,
I
they're going
haven't
to
got
take
the times
appointments.
yet,
Hmm.
but yeah, they're actually gonna take
One-to-one
appointments
appointments. Hmm.
for filmmakers. So
And we're going to be announcing these two spotlighted guests, and we'll probably announce them again next week, just for fun, because I'm really excited about having them. But we have Roxanne Warren is going to be coming, and she is distribution and production executive, and then their director of post production, Jonathan Nosp, is going to be coming as well. So we are going to be formally announcing that in probably the next day or so. But yeah, we want to give you the scoop. Yeah, Green Apple Entertainment and is coming with two of their top folks, and it's going to be good news for the filmmakers that are
you
there.
better believe it.
Yeah, and they're going to be doing a special. I know they're going to be doing something programming, and then also taking
Yes.
individual appointments, like almost like a Q&A mentoring kind of sessions, one-on-one with filmmakers. Talk to them about modern streaming distribution and all that kind of thing. So it's going to be really invaluable. So we're stoked about that. And so that wraps
Right,
it
we
up
are.
as far as the news. That's quite a bit of news.
It
And
is. It's a
but yeah,
lot.
if you want banquet tickets, yeah, there's less than 20 available. So make sure you get your banquet tickets reserved. There's less than 20, and those will be gone.
They're gonna
And
be
then,
gone before the con, so you better be getting them now. The only way you'll be able to
yeah,
get them there is in the event of cancellations.
right. Hmm. And so, yeah, you want to make sure you get those. Also, that's what's real low inventory wise is ads in the official program. So keep an eye out for if you want that, reserve the space. You don't have to have the ads in artwork wise until the end of June, but go ahead and reserve the space because that's almost gone as well. And so, yeah, before we get over time, I want to go ahead and recognize the folks that brought you tonight's show, and that would be Sandy Lender, the genre blender,
Genre
and
blender.
that's right. Yeah, she is awesome and has the great YouTube channel, Sandy Says Read, which you all should subscribe to. And then, of course, Ren Garcia, League of Elders series. So I'll give you a little bit about Ren first, and then we'll go over and say hi to Sandy with that awesome, awesome motivational book that she has out now. That's a new release.
The League of Elder dares to be unusual. It's easy to be swept away in this bold and uninhibited landscape where fantastic heroes become old friends and sinister villains inhabit every dark corner. Dare to explore things best left alone. Each book is your lantern, lighting the path to a world never before seen. So what do you say? Are you weird enough for us?
Yes,
Indeed,
we
we
are.
are.
We are Ren Garcia. And and so now we'll go over to Sandy and give you a bit about this awesome book that all of you should have a copy of, because it's great. I can vouch for it.
Are you a creative person working a 9-to-5 job to survive? Let's look at how to keep your energy and joy alive with the new motivational business book, Capture Your Dream, from author Sandy Lender. In Capture Your Dream, Sandy offers stories, lessons, inspiration, SWOT analysis, goal stacking strategies, and more to help you map your plan to achieve a dream job or side hustle. As a creative herself, Sandy knows it takes compromise and commitment to keep the day job to survive while chasing the dream to thrive. Assess your dragon score. Learn more about Capture Your Dream at AuthorSandyLender.com.
All right. Thank you very much, Sandy. And yeah, everybody should get a copy of that book. And so now, yes, we are just waiting to see tonight's guest in there. I do have somebody in call-in, but it's a different name. Right now, I've got a little bit of a quandary because I do see tonight's guest that is in the chat room. And so I need to make sure that the person that's on the on-call deck might be the same person that I also see in the chat room. So let me know in the comments if that is you, our guest of tonight, because I want to give you the formal introduction and bring you on
Well,
to
if
tonight's
you are
show.
in the chat room, all you have to do, I believe, is click up there at the top where
Mm-hmm.
you see our faces.
Mm-hmm.
You just push that little icon beside like my face,
Yeah.
and it'll bring you on. So
Yeah. Or like a request to call in.
that works too. But go
Yeah. We'll
ahead
make.
and take the call and see who it is.
I'm gonna see if this is. I
It's
hope
a
this is.
mystery.
I hope this is the right person. So it's okay. We got okay. Tonight's guest that did just is okay. Is that other link that is the other person that I'm seeing on deck? Is that somebody? Is that yours that you used off the link? I'm just seeing if that is or not. And because yeah, I sent the link to log in, but I don't see your avatar. Okay, no, that's not. So okay, so what you do is just look on where Holly said on the co-host speakers where Star Chamber Show and Holly is or are, I should say, and click the like ask to call in or the plus button right up there. Yeah, just click that right up there and request
Yep,
to
right
call in.
beside my face.
Mm-hmm.
You're here. You're here. You just got to click.
Oh, yeah, she's clicking to follow you. It's up there, the
Oh,
request to call in. You need to request to call in or request to call on there. Or use the speaker link again that I sent you in the email, because you may have used it right before I had activated the show on. So
oh yeah.
click,
So go out and
yeah,
come back in using the link. That may
yeah,
have been
use
what
that
has
link.
happened.
Yeah, your speaker link may have
Yeah,
you may have clicked on it before the show fully activated, because it does connect straight in when the show is live. So
correct.
go ahead
Correct.
and click that link again, and I don't know if you need to log out
Okay,
and
she's
in.
out. She's out.
Okay,
So let's
but
see
let's
what
go.
happened. Guys, the wonders of live podcasting. It's fun. Said she entered the live studio.
Yeah,
She should be able to click the microphone. It should bring her on.
yeah, there should be a microphone to allow on,
Uh,
because
Moon
we
says,
have
I
calls
love
allowed.
live podcasting.
We have live allowed, so yes, you can request to call in, and I will see your avatar and be
Yes.
able to bring you onto the show. So you can do that in the chat room if you've got the chat room up. Otherwise, yeah, that link should have gotten you right in there. Should have gotten you right in there. So I don't see her yet. So I'm still looking here on this. So all right, folks, the joys of live. The joys of life. So, Holly, I'm going to go ahead and let's see. I'm going to try. Let's see. I don't know what I
Go
can
ahead and
do.
try to work with Barbara.
Yeah. I'm
and
gonna.
and
I invited her as a speaker straight up, as
okay.
from the chat room. Barbara, you should have an invitation for me. Click it. Click that. And yes, I did use your name because I want to make sure you get on the air. Still, will
Well,
give
go
you the
ahead
greater
and
protection.
there she's up
There
there.
she is.
Now
Okay,
Woo!
give her
now.
her intro.
Okay,
Now
Barbara.
intro.
Now I can give you the big intro.
Yes.
We've noodled through it. All right, tonight's guest is an award-winning author, editor, publisher, and screenwriter. She is a two-time Imadjinn Best Fantasy Novelist and Pushcart Prize nominee, among many other accolades and recognitions. She is the author of the Watchers of Moniah series. And as if that is not enough, she also has degrees in zoology and communication that she uses in her efforts as a giraffe conservationist. And so I am excited and proud to welcome onto the show an Imaginarium favorite, a Star Chamber show favorite, the one and only Barbara V. Evers. Well, there you go.
Hi. Do you hear me?
Yes,
Hello.
I hear
We
you loud and
can.
clear.
Oh,
We
good.
have, I don't know what happened. That link should have brought you right in, but we had a
It
backup.
I did come in a little early because I was worried, but then when I came out and came back in, it was like delayed. It took forever for the thing to pop up and say, "Hey, you've been
Oh,
invited to be a speaker." I was like,
yeah, the
"Okay."
one the wonders of tech. I tell you, it's
Yes,
great.
yes. And
But
seeing as I did so much of my early years of training and tech training, I get it. I completely get it. And so I was
so we have
about to go on my computer and try it that way, but I'm so glad we worked it out on the phone. So,
Yes,
so
because
we
that
so we
way you
got the
could, be in the chat room too. So
yeah,
we
definitely.
got to
And hey, Moon,
build
I
the
see you saying
suspense.
my name.
Yes, he's it. Yeah, DL Hearn Moon. Yes, of Sacco and the Moon podcast. By the way, Sacco was our guest last week. Do catch that episode if you haven't yet.
I
But
will.
yeah, he is great and yes, I think he was one of the ones on hand to witness your chair theme that you built off Tommy B. Smith last year. So that was
Oh,
fun.
I'm never going to live the chairs down,
no,
am I?
No,
no,
That's why I
never.
just built on it last year. I was like, okay, you know what? Let's just dive into this thing. And I've been trying to decide whether to do something this year with that or not. I'm almost,
Oh, you should.
are we going to do live readings?
Yes,
yes.
yes, of course we are.
When
Mhm.
are we going to do them?
Sundays, Sunday
Sunday.
afternoon.
Because I almost
Monday.
feel like we have to have a throw the chair award for the best live reading, or
We are
something like that.
we're gonna add a fourth day to Imaginarium at the last minute. We're
We're
gonna go with a
obviously going
Monday,
to have to.
and just hold
Well,
Or I'm
just
going to
hold.
have to start scheduling readings. Hey, you know what, Barbara? Next
mhm,
year, I will schedule readings on Friday. We'll do them Friday evenings, and that way we can do awards. You could give it a chair award out at the award ceremony.
The
that
chair
would be
award.
really cool. That would be really
That
cool. And
okay, we'll
and the
do
other
that.
thing about the other thing about doing readings on Friday is a lot of times if people hear your reading, they'll go buy your book. But
Ooh,
on
that's a
Sunday,
good idea too.
Yeah,
yeah, on Sunday, by the time you get around to the readings, sometimes it's like the last thing I'm doing in the conference, and so
Right.
it's beneficial to the authors if they get that opportunity early,
I
even
did
if it's on.
start them a little earlier, and
Mhm,
I've got them ending about 5:15, so that way they've got till 6 o'clock before the vendor hall closes. So
right.
I did do that. I had that in mind because I was like, well, they could go buy the book.
Hmm.
But yeah, I will do that next year. I'm so booked up now with
Oh
scheduling that
yeah.
I can't do it now. But
Oh yeah.
next year I will. I'll make a note and we'll do it. We'll
yeah,
do it Friday evening.
There you
yeah.
go. There you
It's gonna be
go.
fun.
Or we'll just do like Dragon Con. We'll start on Thursday, end on Monday, and make it a 5 day event. And
Oh my goodness.
Why
You know
not?
what? Why not? Why
Why
not? I
not?
usually arrive on Thursday. I usually don't leave
Yep.
till Monday.
That's it.
Why not?
We're there. We're there from Wednesday to Tuesday. So hey, we're already there.
There
Technically,
you
we
go.
do have a presence on that Thursday, though, because I do run the Marathonarium
We
short
do.
Hmm.
story workshop on the Thursday evening. That's
Right.
the reading, the marathon writing session of
Well,
Gaining Fame workshop that the wonderful Sandy Lander instigated a couple years ago, and I took the editing spot last year because Sandy was busy, so I ended up being the editor last year and will be this year. But yeah, that's a Thursday night thing now, so. We do
Yep.
have something.
And plus,
we
it's
But
do.
just people hanging out too, because it's fun.
mhm,
Yeah, that's it. Those of us that are there early, and it's early setup for vendors, you know,
Hmm.
yeah,
and we're usually stuffing packets, finishing packets, or we're getting last minute changes made,
I
and
thought you
or
were going
I'm
to say
stuffing.
stuff in our faces in the restaurant.
Well, we do that too. We do
I think
stuff our faces. I have a couple beers.
Yes,
We
you have a picture.
I do have a pitcher with a straw. I do.
I've
looks
seen
like
it.
Moon wants us to start on Wednesday, so he wants us to go
Oh,
even the day
Moon,
before that.
Moon, I tell you, don't tempt me with a good time because I'll do the programming. I tell you, it's hard because I just keep going. I get on a programming rampage. I did the other day, and Steve's like, "Whoa, yeah, I I went
Hmm.
crazy."
Yeah,
I love it.
That's
I love to do programming.
yeah,
that's
it's
It's
okay.
fun.
my
You do a
favorite
good
thing.
job at it. In fact, I
Well, thank
opted
you.
to do something this year that I had a hard time deciding to do it, but I decided I had to do this. I did not choose to have a table this year because you have such great programming, and when I have a table, I don't get
Mhm,
to go to any of the other stuff except for the ones I'm appearing in. And
Right,
so
right,
this year I'm doing that. I am going to set up a pre-order thing. So if people want books from me, they're just going to have to let me know in advance and I will bring them, but they're
right.
going to have to pre-order them.
Well,
And it was a hard decision, but I'll tell you what, I love running the table. I love being there, especially in Creatives Alley, because it's such a fun space. But literally, when I'm not on a panel, I am almost anchored to that table because the constant traffic is so
mhm,
much. And so I was just like, there was like, I missed some things the last couple of years that I really wanted to go to. I said, you know what, this year I'm coming to the conference for me.
mhm,
And, if I know
what's
already
fun?
one person told me they want my newest book, so I know I have
Mhm.
to bring him one, and I'll bring some, but I just want to actually be able to enjoy the stuff too.
mhm,
Yes,
Well,
the couch. I can go sit on the couch.
you could sit on the couch. A lot of fun happens on that couch late at night.
Yes, it
Let me tell
does.
you. I give people hair, everything. We flip my hair over. Everybody gets
Hmm.
hairdos that are bald. It's hilarious. But yes, we I have two things that could help with that. Sharing a table. If you get
Yeah.
somebody to share a table with, you can kind
mhm,
of watch each other's stuff. Another thing is I have panels on Saturday and Sunday mornings and workshops that start at 9, and the vendor hall and the tables don't start till 10. So
Hmm.
you've got an hour there. And then I also do late panels. Friday, I've got a few going around 6:15, and then I've got more going around 8. Fun stuff. We do, a
Right.
lot of the not just in depth like craft writing. We do fun interactive panels,
Right.
in the evenings. You're still learning, you're still networking, but they're interactive, and you get to interact
Yeah.
with the attendees, and
mhm.
that's always a good time. So yeah, I do those too on Friday and Saturday evenings. So if you do have a table, you can still be a part of those also.
Yeah,
Right.
I did share a table last year. It didn't
Uh huh.
help.
It did
Um,
not help because
it did
there's
not
just
help.
so much.
It's just so much, and
Yep.
it was not it maybe with the right setup that would work for me, but it just did not
Right.
last year. And I mean, because continually people were coming up to me, continually, which is wonderful. And I love everybody there because they're coming up and they're talking to me about the books. And I love to talk about my books and everything else and drafts and whatever else I've got going on. And then because of that, I'm so tired by the end of the day.
Yes.
Oh yes. Yeah.
That those panels that are late, I did run one of those last year, because you ran some during the awards program last year, and I did have a panel, one of the fun panels, and it was the first year for it, and it was very light attendance because, of course, the award show was going on.
Right. Right.
Um, and so I think I talked to you about that
Yeah.
on, I guess, Sunday night when we went out to the whatever that place is called.
Troll pub.
Yeah,
Troll pub.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
Legendary troll pub. Yes.
yeah, but
Hmm.
so we had a few people there, but
Right.
not a
But the
lot. And
majority
so,
of people are at the awards. But not everybody wants to go, and that was my thought. But hey, we had to try it and see,
mhm,
because that's the only way because when
exactly.
there's hundreds and hundreds of people, we're up to like, around 1,200 for the weekend now. It's a lot of
Right,
people, and you got people everywhere. You don't know what's going to work when. So yeah, you just got to try it. And so now
right.
we know. Well, live and
Okay,
learn, right?
I have to cough. I apologize. I'm going to try to not do it right in your ear. Hold on 2 seconds.
That's
Okay.
no problem. No problem. And but
I do it too.
Okay, sorry about that. I did something stupid right before we went online. I
no
ate
worries.
I ate an almond M&M. So,
Oh, I
Oh,
love those.
yeah,
that's
Love
and
the
fun.
almond M&M.
yeah, and a little remnant of it was hanging out.
Oh,
So,
I
but
hate
anyway, so okay. Um, yeah,
that
so
stuff.
since I mentioned it, can I talk a little bit about that particular panel I did during the award show last year? Because
Yes.
Sure.
we're doing it again this year.
Well, we're
I don't
doing
know
that.
what,
And
yeah,
then I would like you to talk about your slush fest, because that's really cool. We're doing
yeah,
that one again because everybody talked about that, and we're gonna have a lot of new people. So yeah, we're
right,
definitely
right.
gonna do that one.
So the one I did last year on Saturday night is called Dr. Moreau's Laboratory, and it's an animal mashup and chaos kind of thing. So it's a fun panel. And
Yes.
the idea behind it is we have this deck of cards that are basically for artists, and it has different animals on it. It also can have environment. It can have, I'm trying to think what else it has on it. Sometimes it has a type of creature or whatever. And we played a few rounds. I actually saved some of the cards from last year because some of the results from last year because I wanted to share it so people get an idea. So what we would do is we'd pull out, like the first round we did, we just pulled out two animals. And then what I had the panelists do is come up with an animal that was a mashup of those two or however many we have and write a few sentences of the first appearance of that animal in a story. And so, like, the first one we did was a centipede and a baby hippopotamus. And they had to name the animal. And it's interesting because we had three panelists, and all three of them named their animal the hippopede. Every last one of them. It was funny because that doesn't always happen that way. But I was trying to see, I was trying to read some of these because I was trying to see which one had the best one.
That's funny, Hippopede.
So yeah, somebody, this was one of them, rustling from the thick brush, scuttling, scurrying, clacking. It burst into the clearing, a hundred-legged horror the size of a Great Dane. I raised my rifle and fired again and again. With a piercing squeal, it dropped twitching. A roar burst from the brush, a tree fell, and the mother charged after its fallen baby. So that was one of the sentences we got, you
That's
know.
fun.
But like the funniest one I think that happened, um, the last round we did, we drew five cards. We had a grasshopper, a penguin, a moose,
What?
and it was supposed to be a city environment and an alien. And they didn't have to use all of them, but they had to try to use as many as they could on this round. So this person came up with a Mugwin. That was the name of their
Nice.
animal. Bright sunlight blinded me as the bar's doors opened. The silhouette of an alien sidled in sideways, so its vast antler rack fit through the door. It waddled from the closing door to the bar, odd wings flapping uselessly at its side. It stepped before me, slapped a wing on the bar, and said, "Give me a grasshopper," which is a way to get the grasshopper in. So we had a lot of fun with it. And what happens is the panelists do this, and the audience doesn't know whose is whose, and they vote on the best one. And then whoever has the most points at the end of the night, it has bragging rights for the year. So, but since so few people got to come to it last year, I
Right.
wanted to talk about it a little bit so people kind of get an idea of how it works. And it's just a lot of fun. It's silly. And while they're writing, we're just cutting up in the audience, just talking about whatever. and it just, it was fun.
Well,
And so I'm
this year,
hoping that we'll get a good turnout this year.
well, I do too, and I think the time I put it in here, it's going to work, um, because the award ceremony will be over, and it'll be like right after the award ceremony, and it'll be at 8:15 on Saturday, which people
Okay.
are they're already having fun. They've got them a few drinks. They're ready to relax. They're gonna, yeah. I think we're
Okay.
gonna have a lot of fun this year. I really do.
Okay. Am I going to miss karaoke doing that?
No, you're not gonna bet because you're only gonna do that for what, 2 hours or an
If that
hour?
long. I
Well,
think,
if that
yeah.
long. See, karaoke starts a little after 9.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, literally. So I've got it like right in between there. So I thought this will be perfect because that'll give some for people to do, you
Mm-hmm.
know, that's for one
Exactly.
in between. Yeah, because dinner already be over and everything.
Right.
So I really think I hope to pop in. I'm going to try to pop in there.
Yeah, I hope they will too, because it is a good bit of fun. And I've been on similar kinds of panels like this at Conjuration, not this specific one. This is my creation. But
What's brilliant.
it's based off of some of the ones I've been on in Conjuration where the panelists are having to create something and then the audience votes on it. And they're always fun because you can be silly, you can be serious, you can do whatever you want with them, and you never
Right.
know what you're going to get, and you don't know whose is whose either. So it's always
Yeah,
interesting to find out,
that's
who
neat.
actually submitted which one. But anyway, so that's one of the things we'll be doing this coming year. Whew.
And then the
Nice.
slush fest. Talk
Yeah.
about the slush fest because that's really cool.
So the Slush Fest, we did this 2 years ago,
Yep.
and we had um, primarily we had editors on the panel. I don't think we ended up with an agent on the panel. It'd be great if we could have an agent on the panel this
Well,
year.
yeah, I'll try to get one on there. Yeah.
Yeah, but we had editors on there, small press editors, and basically what you do is you come in and you bring one page of, like the first page of your manuscript, double spaced, 12-point font, just like if you're submitting. No name on it. You don't put, it's an anonymous thing. And we take them up, and then what happens is we'll have a moderator who will read. The year we did it, I had Morgan Hazelwood do it. She did a great job reading them. So I was almost out of voice at that point because it was well into the conference and I taught a bunch of stuff. So I let her read them. And what happens is if you get to a point where an editor or an agent might say, I'm not going to keep reading because that's the whole point of the slush of a slush pile. They're gonna read so far until they hit something that gives them a reason to say pass and go on.
Right.
So if you get to a point where one of the panelists say, yeah, that's probably where I'd stop, they're going to raise their hand. And when at least half of the panel has their hands raised, we will stop reading. And then we will have from the panelists why they raised their hand or why they didn't raise their hand. So the goal is nobody raise your hand and you get all the way to the bottom of the page, which I think happened to one person when we did this last time. And we got through about 10 to 12 submissions, I think, if I remember right. And I think this one was an hour and a half also because it takes a little bit of
Hmm.
time. But it's really cool because not only do you hear why, but sometimes you hear differences of opinions too. So it
Right.
shows the fact that not every editor is going to look at the thing the same way, and
Right.
not everybody's going to be eh on the same reason. So that's why I like to have usually, 4 or 5, maybe even 6 panelists on there, so you get a good feel for it. But we had a packed room once people figured out that there were 2 doors to the room, because it turned out we were
Uh,
in a, we were in that room, right near the bathrooms, I think, or and we
Ellis,
had
that's
come
where
we
it'll
had
be
come in.
again.
Yeah, we came in the side door, and the side door was
Yeah.
open. Well, people were trying to come in the door, towards the lot, like the creative
Creative
gallery,
Valley.
and
Yeah.
those doors were locked, and we didn't
Right.
know it. And we kept going, "Is nobody going to show up?" And it turned out there was
They're
this
trying to get
pack of
in.
people outside the door trying to get in. I'm like, "Oh my goodness!"
Well, you'll have to
So,
make sure this year that they're not locked. Yeah, I'll have
right,
to check that.
exactly,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
because it's
uh,
the same room because that's a bigger room. Because I know
right.
people will really, really, love this. So yeah,
So yeah, and it can help you learn a lot. Even if you don't have something to bring in yourself, coming and listening to what they have to say can be
yep.
very, very valuable to you. So and the only reason I ever proposed it is because for years the writing conferences I went to here in South Carolina did these. And I learned so much during them that I was like, we need to do this because, creatives.
Well, that's it. And you get, like I said, you get a different critique, and this is for all genres. So
Right,
it's
right,
not a niche group. It's not
right.
just literary fiction or horror or fantasy or it's everything.
It can be whatever. Now, I think we had a predominance of fantasy last time,
Uh-huh.
but I want to say the one whose piece got read all the way to the end of the page, I know who it was. I can't think of her name, and I can see her face. I want to say it wasn't fantasy. It may have been YA, but I won't swear to it. So don't hold me to
Nice,
that. But
nice,
I know who it was. That I do know, but I just don't remember her name. I can see her face though. So, and it was a really good piece too. So that was pretty cool for her.
neat, neat. That's the whole point. And like I said, getting different perspectives, different people from, and if we can, I try to get the literary agent on there. I'll see what she's doing about that time. Or Cherry Weiner, who's one of our imaginators.
Hmm.
She's going to be coming in, and she's just phenomenal. It's going to be really
Mhm.
interesting. She's also going to be taking appointments and one-on-ones. So yeah, I would definitely try to get her on there.
That'd be
Um,
good.
but
Mhm.
yeah, we could get some people from different avenues and
Yeah,
get different perspectives that way. That's
yeah,
very
because
interesting. Yeah, you can learn a lot from that.
you really can. You really can. So,
Yeah.
since we're talking about, I'll just hit real quick the other two things I'm doing for you this year. I have
Hmm.
2 workshops, killing off your characters. So we're going to talk about how to do it and when to do it and when not to do it. And that's a workshop. And then I have another one that I think is called Presenting for Creatives or something along those lines. But basically, it is how to get past the nerves of you're an author now, and now you got to talk to people. And how do you find opportunities to actually get up and speak or to interact? And what do you do? How do you plan for that? So those are the 2 workshops I'm teaching too. And um, so I have been doing conferences like this for 4 or 5 years now in a row. And then previous to that, I'd done conferences off and on. So I do several of them a year. So I do kind of know a little bit about this part. And I was a public speaker in a previous life. So there you go. I actually do know about public speaking too.
Absolutely, and yeah, you do a great job of it. And since you did mention that, yeah, you are doing lots of conferences out there. I do want to give you a chance to talk about what's coming right up for you, because for you, it's kind of local, yeah, and for us, it's an event that we're very aware of, and I have actually was there many years ago and loved it. But Con Carolinas, and
Yes.
love to hear you talk a little bit about what's coming up for you there.
So Con Carolinas is this coming weekend. It's in Charlotte. And I am on several panels. I think I'm only moderating one of them. I'm moderating a panel on your light bulb moment. So where did the inspiration come from, and what are the unusual ways that you get inspiration and things, or and what are ways to gain inspiration? So I'm on a panel about that. I'm on a panel about, I don't remember the titles of all of them, but there's one where it's like, are we messing with biology too much? Kind of along the lines of, should we be creating Jurassic Park kind of stuff? And, what should we be concerned about along those lines? That's a science panel. And I'm on one about writing historical fantasy. And there's one other, and I can't, two others. I'm going to be on one of, they're calling it Matlock, the Golden Girls, and somebody else, Jessica Fletcher, maybe. And it's about, can you write about women who aren't in their 20s? Well, duh, yes, you can. There's a simple answer, but we're going to talk about it. And I'm on another one talking about, I don't remember. I don't remember, but it'll probably be on my Facebook post tomorrow or Friday, because I usually post my schedules on my Facebook and my Instagram when I'm going into a conference. So they'll be out there.
Nice. Who is there? I'm curious. Who is the guest of honor this year over there, out there this year?
Oh, you would ask me that. Wesley Chu is one of them, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to pull it up. I got my computer right here. Let me see if I can pull it up and see. Wesley Chu and
Because they always have some really good guests that come in.
yeah.
Yeah, they do a
So
great job.
Robert J.
Yeah,
Sawyer,
nice.
and Wesley Chu are the author guest of honor. We've got
Very cool.
Thorne Mooney, who is the paranormal guest of honor, and Amanda Makepeace, who is an artist guest of honor.
Mm-hmm.
And then they've
Nice.
got there's music and indie film. There's a lot of people. If you go to concarolinas.org, it's right there
Yeah,
on the home page, and you can see it. So,
that's a great
and
event,
I'll
and at
be
least for that one, you don't have to go far. At least
no,
that's a closer one for you.
it's about an hour and a half from me, so that's nice. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not a big drive as opposed to y'all. That's why I
Right.
come on Thursday and leave on
But
Monday.
it's worth it. It's
It's
so
worth
much
it.
worth it.
It's worth it because I love everybody there. And if you have never been to an Imaginarian conference and you're listening to this, you need to come to Imaginarium because you're missing out. It is so much fun. And it's
It's-
it's
It is.
getting big, but it's still this wonderful family atmosphere. There are people there I just
Yes.
adore, and I only see them during
Once a
Imaginarium
year.
because
Yep.
I don't live in that area of the country. I'm over here in
Mhm.
South
Well, and
Carolina.
some people, well, some people like you are coming in. We've had, we get people from other countries. We get people
Yes,
from,
We have
a
a
lot of
vendor from
people come
Israel
in
this
from
year. Vendor coming in.
California.
I know. I know. Yeah.
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
So,
people coming in from Jerusalem this year. I
Yes.
mean,
oh
Yep.
my word.
it's
Yep. We
crazy.
sure do.
Yeah, yeah.
One of our
They're
vendors.
so-
Yep.
yeah.
So,
It's going to be great.
anyway, so can I tell y'all a little bit about the books I've got coming up right now? Or,
Yes,
Yes,
that was
let's
the
talk
next thing I
about them.
was going to ask you about. Yeah, because you mentioned a
okay.
new book. So
Yes,
yeah, definitely
I
want to hear about it.
have a short story collection. You're gonna love this cover. If you go on my Facebook and scroll a little bit, you'll see the cover. The book is called The Nature of the Beast, and it's a collection of 11 short stories of mine that I've written over the years, some of them were written as prompts that there was a prompt and I wrote something. Some of them were submissions to a contest. Three of the 11 were actually published previously, but the rest are brand new publications. Except for there's few that in my newsletter every other month I give them a free short story. So there's a few that I took those and ramped them up a little bit more and made them bigger and better. But the two big stories in this one, the first one's called The Return of Raker. It's the first story in the book, and I'm so excited that I finally have a place to put this one because it is one of my favorites. And it was a little too long for some of the people that I wanted to submit to. So, but it's a story about a dragon shifter, and his name is Raker. And I will probably read from that if I get a chance to do a reading this coming year because it's a fun story. I love that story. And the other one is a story called Buggers, which I think I mentioned last year I had written a horror story when I didn't mean to. So Buggers kind of it's a fantasy horror type of thing, and it has bugs in it. So there you go. But there's different stories in here. There's a story about um, shifters like werewolf shifters, otter shifters, pike shifters. There's snakes, there's spiders, there's some spooky stories, but they're all speculative. And it's called The Nature of the Beast. And my tagline is Not All Beasts Hide in the Dark. And so this is a little darker. Actually, the last story in the book is the one that's up for the Imadjinn Short Story Award this year,
Cool.
which that story appeared initially in Jordan Kahn's anthology last year. It's called Kaleidoscope. And I'm past the, hey, you can't publish it again yet phase. So I put it in this one because it's a really fun story. And it's a slightly different because sometimes, the beast is human and sometimes the beast is
It's true.
animal.
Yes.
And in some stories, the question is who really is the beast? And the Return of Raker is one of those. It's like, okay, who is the beast here? You know, who's the bad guy? Who's the good guy? Um, but it's got the coolest cover. It's got a purple cover and it's got these big eyes that they're supposed to be dragon eyes. They may look a little cat eye. If you look real close, it's got some dragon scales kind of hidden in the background. And there's there's images of different animals that may appear in the stories with some kind of a back glow behind them, and it's just really cool. And I'm excited about this book, and I'm excited to share it. So um,
Yeah, cover is nice. I'm looking at it
you're
right
looking at
now,
it.
and yeah, you could to me. I mean, it's definitely reptilian eyes. I mean, it definitely comes across for sure. And then lots of detail. I mean, it's cool. I mean, I'm just looking around. I see an otter, yeah, a squirrel, which Holly was going to love. Then
Hmm.
something Holly does not love, snakes, and then a
Yeah.
spider, and then I got a praying mantis, a wolf, and I think a catfish, maybe
It's supposed to
or
be a pike.
pike. Okay, okay.
I did not bother to make sure it really looks like a pike. I just went with it. When they created it, I was like, okay, that works. The otter I had to play around with because when they first drew it, it looked more like a beaver, but or a muskrat, and I was like, no, otters are a little longer and skinnier.
Oh, it
So,
looks great. Yeah, I guess catfish because I just saw the what looks like a whisker at the front
yeah,
of
it
so
does, it does,
that's
but
why I
that's okay
guess. Yeah,
because I think a pike still has they have a
they have a
dangle.
they have a dangle. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they have a
But
dangle off the jaw. So, and I am
I just wanted you to know I'm not complete. I was hoping not to be completely daft, but I had to take a stab at that.
That's okay. That is
Yeah,
okay. Because I get it. Because I've looked and I said, yeah, some people are going to think that's a catfish. That's okay. Not a problem. It's not an issue.
but yeah,
So
it's a cool. It's beautiful. It's and they're woven in with the the kind of floral kind of motif there, and it's yeah. Who did the artwork? It's really
believe it
well
or
done.
not, I got this from getcovers.com.
Really?
And
Getcovers.com.
yeah, and I won't say online, but ask me later. it didn't cost me hardly anything. It was, and I'm
Wow.
amazed at what I got. I'm absolutely amazed at it. So, um,
Very cool.
they did, we had to go back and forth a few times to get it right. But they did a good job. I gave them kind of an idea of what I wanted, and they hit it out of the park. They did a really good
Yeah.
job with this one.
Well, if
So
I were
I'm
them, I would
excited.
definitely put this in their portfolio because yeah, it's gorgeous. It's a nice looking cover
Yeah,
and
I keep looking at
available.
their advertising emails going, where's my cover? You ought to put it out there.
Yeah,
Because,
they
but
really
they've
should.
got some good covers. So it's just getcovers.com. So for writers, if you need a cover, I'm trying to decide whether to go back to them for the next book because, I've talked about that giraffe nonfiction book a few
Mm,
times. And it is with a layout formatting person right now because it was too much for me because I've got photographs that I've taken of giraffes that are going to be in the book. So all the
mhm,
photographs are going to be mine, and it's going to be written at a middle grade level. But I have a sneaking suspicion more of the middle graders will read this book. Um,
mhm.
but it's about giraffes and just it's things about giraffes,
Nice.
learning about giraffes, and so I won't have it probably by Imaginarium. It'll probably be August or September before I can get that one finalized because there's gonna take a little bit more with this. And I tried my level best to lay this thing out myself and I couldn't, so I had to finally go to a designer and say help. So
Mhm,
and she's doing a good job. She's doing a really good job, and I've got about the first 8 or 9 pages from her, and it's looking good. It's looking good now that we've got a consensus on what the design style is going to be. So, and I may have her do the cover since she's done the interior. I'm not sure yet. If not, I may go back to get covers because it's going to have a photograph on the front that I took also. But
mhm,
laying that out just right, I need somebody who understands covers really well because I want this to pop like this one does. So,
mhm. Yeah, it does, and I also want to give them kudos on the titling, the way they work the words, the
oh,
title
I
and
know.
on the cover. It
Check out
really,
the T's. Do you see the
yeah,
T's? Aren't they
hmm
cool? So,
punched in, punches out really nice, and it
mhm.
reads really well as as a thumbnail, and yeah, really good job. So yeah, impressive, very
Yeah,
impressive.
they did a
Yeah,
great job.
it'll be fun to see this one in person in July for sure. I love violet hues too, like purplish
Hmm.
hues. That
Yeah.
always makes her, I think, a classy cover. Yeah,
Oh,
the
thanks.
the contrast there with the
So
almost like near gold. Yeah, so
where did you get the idea for this one?
Which one? The Nature of the Beast?
Yes, the
Or,
nature of the beast.
I have all these short stories, and actually, I had gotten the idea a few years ago to start offering a free short story in my newsletter every other month. So if you subscribe to my newsletter on the even numbered months, you get a free short story. And a lot of times they're not really revised, or they're just what you get is what you get. And so I got this idea from listening to a podcast somewhere from an author who's like, I figured, my new subscribers, they deserve something. So I give them a free short story however many times in my newsletter. So I was like, that's a good idea. I'll do that. And then he also said in this podcast that then he compiled them into a book at the end of the year. I said, that's a cool idea. But, he was doing them, I think, once a month, which is 12 stories. Well, I wasn't doing them once a month because I have a lot of other stuff I'm trying to do. So I was doing just every other month. And I was like, yeah, maybe not completely able to do a book that way. But hey, The Return of Raker needs a place. Buggers needs a place. What else do I have? Oh, I have this story called, what is it's one, I got to give you the time that's correct on it. It's called 1:28 a.m. I think is the time. Yeah, 1:28 a.m. It needed a place. Um, I have, and so I have a story called Even Steven Heathens that needed a place.
Even Stephen
So
Heathens. Nice.
yes, even I thought you'd like that. Um, it needed a place. So there, and then there's a story that I got published way back in like 2012 in Stupefying Stories that was published under the title Life Source at the time. Changed the title because I decided not long after it was published that wasn't the best title in the world, and so it's now called A Good Trade. But that's in here. The story Kaleidoscope that came out of the anthology is in here, the Jordan Con anthology, and that's up for the thing, for the award. So there's several things in here, and it's quite a combination. The squirrel story, since you mentioned that to Holly, it is the whimsical fun story. So
Ah,
there, it's not all dark. That one is a fun and light story that initially appeared in my newsletter in February of last year. So, and then, like I said, all the ones that were in the newsletter, they got vamped up, enhanced, revised. So they're not exactly what my subscribers got, but they're based on that, if that makes sense. Some of these came from writing prompts, like back during 2020 when we were all kind of stuck.
Yeah.
South Carolina Writers Association started doing like these lunch things where we'd all get on Zoom and do stuff. And sometimes it was writing prompt. And so there was the one, let's see, mistake number 3 came from a writing prompt from that particular one of those sessions.
Hmm.
And and it with each story, at the end of the story, I add a little note that tell you a little bit about the origin of the story, so you get a little more insight into them. So, for example, the Return of Raker. Let's see what it's. The only thing I say with the Return of Raker is, did you enjoy Jade, Raker, and Bridget? If so, never fear. I have plans for them. This is their backstory. That one's going to be in a manuscript one day, a novel one day. But
Hmm.
like even Stephen Heathens, I'll tell you what it says behind this, so I kind of whet your appetite a little bit. I wrote even Stephen Heathens, and that's hard to say, by the way.
that
In
is. That's a
response
lot.
I love it.
in response to a contest prompt to write a story where all people receive the same income. It didn't win because I didn't portray a utopian world. The winner did. I feel like this is more realistic. Do you? So that kind of gives you a sneak peek into what you might be finding in even Stephen Heathens. And that one's more of a dystopian story.
Hmm.
So there's a little bit of everything in there.
Very cool. Very well. You certainly have been busy. Yeah, getting some new stuff
I
together.
have. I
Yeah,
have.
and it gives you a chance to branch out a bit after you were immersed in the Watchers of Moniah series and play in some
Yes,
some other things and
right.
spheres.
And
Yeah.
I'm still working on the Matriarch Enchanter series.
Hmm.
I went back to the drawing board with it because uh, it it's I had it out and I was submitting it and I wasn't getting the response I wanted. There was a few bites, but I wasn't getting the response I wanted. And so I went to my friend David B. Coe, who's a wonderful author,
Hmm.
good friend of
Oh
mine.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
love David, and he does some editing, and we talked about it last year at Dragon Con, and he said, you think about it if you want me to. And I decided, you know what? And it was the best thing I ever did because the feedback I got from him makes so much sense. And so I'm going back through it now, and it's going to be so much better. The first book is called Plunged in Purple, and it's going to be so much better once it's done. And I'm hoping still to get a publishing contract with this one. But to give you a sneak peek, it's kind of like a mashup of Red Riding Hood and Discovery of Witches and the Vine Witch.
Ooh, neat.
So,
Ooh,
so
cool.
it's definitely a very different thing from the Watchers of Moniah. It is what I call urban mountain fantasy
Hmm.
because it is set in the Blue Ridge, and So it, and I'm having a lot of fun with it because it's a completely different world. But guess what? There are animals because there are wolves in this one. So of course
Very
there's
cool.
going to be an animal because I write fantasy with clever creatures. That's my thing. So, and often they're matriarchies, and guess what? The it's called the matriarchal enchanter series or something like. I can't say it anymore. It's late. But anyway, I tend to write a lot of matriarchies, and a lot of matriarchies who, for some reason, have a connection with a particular animal. And in this case, it's going to be wolves.
Very cool. That
Yeah,
sounds like
I'm
an awesome
excited.
series. Yeah, and for those listening, yeah, also, yeah, if you haven't checked out David B. Coe's work, yeah, fantastic writer as well, since you mentioned him. And yeah, that's, yeah, keep us up to date for sure on that. And but I'm waiting for the day that you become the first person to do when you do like a giraffe shifter type story.
You know, it's coming. It's
Is
gonna
it coming?
happen. It's gonna happen.
I'm
It's I
waiting
just
for that one.
yeah, it's there. I am working on some Legends of Moniah right now, and
Mhm.
one of them I do have. It's until May 31st. I am part of a book funnel promo where the short story that's the origin of the Watchers is available for free
Oh, cool.
if you go to the book promo. And you can find that on my link tree. And my link tree is just at Barbara V. Evers. And it's,
Hmm.
I think the first link is The Nature of the Beast because Halo, it just came out. And the second one is this promo. And if you're not familiar with Book Funnel, you can um, get a free ebook. And all you have to do usually is subscribe to the person's newsletter and you get
Hmm.
the ebook. And so there's the origin story of the Watchers available
Yeah,
in that right now, and it's called The Gifted Ones. So,
nice.
but yeah, I'm working on doing some of the legends, and at some point I'm going to go back and revisit the Watchers and write the story of the antagonist.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, yeah. It's always fun to go back and start fleshing out the worlds on a
Hmm.
series because I've done that in writing short stories that are set in the world of my series, and that is just a blast when you get to, yeah, start branching out and just doing some of those added content kind of things.
Yeah,
That is
it's
that
fun.
is that is definitely fun. But I did mention the giraffe shifters as a kind of a segue because we would be remiss in having a conversation with you if we did not ask you about giraffes and because
Yes.
yes, we think it now. Holly and I actually think of you every time we see giraffes. Now
I have that
we
Yes.
effect on
it's
people.
yeah, it's something that has happened, and so Holly and I immediately think of you when we see giraffes, and wanted to give you a chance to talk about how things are going out in the giraffe conservation world, what you're up to maybe lately in that, and just how are the state of affairs with your favorite animal.
Well, from what I have seen from Giraffe Conservation Foundation, and if you want to find them, it's giraffeconservation.org. They're in Namibia in Africa, and actually that's where their base is, but they work throughout Africa. Um, the numbers in giraffes have gone up, so that's a good
Awesome.
thing. And June 21st is coming up. That's World Giraffe Day. And
June
I will
21st.
probably, yeah, it's always World Giraffe Day because it is the longest day in the Northern Hemisphere and the longest night in the Southern Hemisphere for the tallest animal. So,
Nice.
so June 21st, and they usually, if you go to their website, they usually start having some fundraising things going on. Usually there's some beautiful artwork and stuff along those lines. I do give 5% of my royalties to Giraffe Conservation. I usually do it about once or twice a year, depends on how soon it accumulates and how much I've been
Mm.
getting out and getting things done. But I do give 5% of my royalties to them. And there's some good news out there, and they're doing some good things. Of course, there's a long way to go.
Hmm.
If you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, and I know like Moon has played it a few times, and some of the other, I know Brian Ronk, who comes to Imaginarium, plays this when
Yes.
I do it. But I do Giraffe Trivia Tuesday periodically throughout the year. I'll run a round of it, and Like the last one, I think it started February 1st. It ran through tax day, April 15th. And basically, there's a multiple choice question about about giraffes, and then you come back on Thursday and you get the answer. And if you guess, you get an entry in the contest. If you get your guess correct, you get a second entry, and I keep the points. And at the end of it, I use the wheel of names. I spin the wheel, and somebody wins prizes. And so I just finished one of those up in April. That was the fourth time I've run Draft Trivia Tuesday. A lot of what's in those will end up in my Giraffing Around book that I was talking about previously. But, drafts are really cool. The giraffe here in Greenville at the Greenville Zoo is pregnant again. So this will be baby 7 or 8. I've lost track, to be honest with you. However, the very first baby that she had way back in 2012 or 13, I'd have to go, I never can remember which year it was. Kiko, who's now a father giraffe up in the Toronto Zoo, but he features predominantly because I have a lot of pictures of him from when he was 4 days old.
Mhm.
And I have
Aw.
pictures of his mother, Autumn, and his father, Walter. Walter was later, because they do the breeding programs in the zoos, and these are Maasai giraffes here. Walter was sent to another zoo just to change up the genetic makeup of the offspring over time. And Walter has since passed away, but we have Miles here now, and
Mhm.
we now have a giraffe feeding station here too, which that's fairly new for Greenville. Um, and I heard that our most recent giraffe, Blossom, went to Louisville
Whoa!
just recently.
That's what we need to
Huh.
do, Holly. A field trip with Barbara to see
Yeah.
Blossom.
Yeah, that
Well,
would be
I'm going to have
cool.
to go see her. I'm going to have to go see her because I will
Gotta
be
happen.
there.
Yeah, you're
It's
gonna
going
be
to happen.
there.
I'm going to be there. But she recently, and they're very sneaky about this, so I didn't get a chance to go say goodbye to Blossom. But you know, what they do in the zoos these days is they have these giraffe breeding programs, and then the babies or the calves stick around for a year, maybe two, and then they get sent to another zoo so that the giraffe breeding population gets diverse.
The genetics.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and so it's a good thing. We've got a lot of Greenville's giraffes out there, and Kiko was just the first of them, and we're going to have another one fairly soon, is what they're saying.
Nice.
They don't ever say exactly when, because pregnancy for a giraffe is 13 to 15 months, and so you don't
Wow.
always know exactly when that baby's coming. I don't know if they're going to run the Earth Cam in the barn or not. Usually you can look at the Greenville Zoo giraffe paddock. Sometimes you can see the barn on Earth Cam. When Kiko was born, the very first giraffe, I watched him be born in the barn in the middle of the night.
That's awesome.
Um,
Yeah.
it was pretty cool. I haven't had the opportunity to see each of them because there was unfortunately a stillborn one year, and then they kind of backed off on running the Earth Cam during the births if
Hmm.
it's at night, because that stillborn was kind of devastating for those who saw it. Um,
Oh
but
yeah.
anyway, oh, and I went to see, you heard about the spotless giraffe that was born last summer, right?
Hmm.
Yes, yes.
I went to
That was
see it.
cool.
I
You
went
did?
in November. I did, because they're at Bright Zoo in Tennessee is where that giraffe is, and I went to see her. She was not super friendly.
Oh.
She did not want to come up to where I could get a really good picture of her. But the rest of the giraffes in her tower were very friendly, and I have some hilarious photos from there. And I got to feed several of the giraffes, and it was my husband's birthday present to me to go there because he said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I want to go see the spotless giraffe." So we went. And we were some of the fewest people there because they were about to shut down for the winter. And it's a cute little zoo. I'll tell you what, they got a lot going on for them at the Bright Zoo.
I'll have to check that out. Now, I do have to ask though, with the spotless giraffe, is this a kind of thing that has a prophecy attached, like the white buffaloes and whatnot? I mean, does this mean anything for us in the?
It should, shouldn't it? I've not heard anything. I know that the last time, this was one of my giraffe trivia questions because I was running giraffe trivia when this giraffe was born. Um, Previously, I think the last time a spotless giraffe had been born in captivity had been something like 1972.
Mhm.
The ironic thing is, right after the one was born at Bright Zoo, Giraffe Conservation Foundation spotted a spotless giraffe calf in Africa. And it's just such a
Wow.
rare occurrence. And for
Yeah,
the two of them to have
I
been
imagine.
born,
Yeah.
so it ought to be a prophecy. Maybe that's my next story.
There you go.
Oh,
There
fun. There you go.
Let me
well,
make a note of that. Prophecy.
yeah,
Because the
it should.
Watchers are prophetic.
Yeah.
The Watchers
Hmm.
have dreams of prophecy. So I may have to play around with that.
We have to
Yeah.
play with that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But
See the
we'll have to
wonderful ideas that we always come up with being on the show.
co-star
you
on your
know,
show.
that's
Yes.
true. I mean, I got the title for my giraffe book while we were on the show last time.
Oh, that's
So
fun. That's
yeah,
fun.
because giraffing around, we were playing around with what should I call this thing, and I don't
Yeah,
remember who said it, but
I
that's where
don't
it
either.
came from. But
All
it's
all
like,
right, Holly. Mark it down though. We've got our Louisville, Kentucky giraffe that we want to. We'll have to spotlight Blossom. We will have
yeah,
to.
Blossom.
Yes.
Blossom. I wasn't real thrilled with her name, but okay.
It's
Oh, it's
cheerful.
cute though. I
It's
think it's
cheerful.
cute.
She's a spunky little thing. I'll tell you what, on World Giraffe Day this past year in June, I went to feed the giraffes, and she was still kind of short because the thing is up high so you can reach it. And Miles, the father giraffe, came from a zoo where he was pretty much raised by people, so he's like right there. You got food, give it to me. I'm here. Um, and Blossom was kind of hanging out and curious, and so you pay and you get like 3 leaves. And so I had given Miles the first two, and Blossom wandered over. I was like, okay, I'm going to give it to Blossom. Do you know her father stole it right out from her nose? It's like she
Well,
was she was reaching for it, and Miles just reached over and took it. I was like, you
That's
stinker.
funny. Well, well, Holly, do you think that Blossom will be impressed if we go to Louisville Zoo and tell Blossom that we know Barbara Evers? You think Blossom will,
she
that'll
may
get
be
us
a little nicer then. She'll be like, I remember her.
She probably won't be
that'll get
happy
us
because she didn't get to eat the leaf I was trying to feed her. Oh my goodness.
well. Yeah,
That's
mark
funny.
that down, Holly. We've got to investigate this. This is cool. We've got a draft connection now in the Louisville Zoo with
That's
Barbara.
what I
Yeah, with
heard is where
Blossom.
she went. They just keep it,
Yeah,
under wraps, and all of a sudden they tell you, "Oh yeah, we sent her away." And it's like,
yeah.
oh.
Oh,
They're
And you know it's
sneaky.
coming. You know it's coming. Which, of course,
Yeah.
and on the heels of that was the announcement that Autumn is pregnant, which I completely had
Uh,
suspected Autumn was pregnant before this because it's been long enough after Blossom was born that odds are Autumn's pregnant. So,
right.
um,
Well, this is great. Well, we got a better update than I was even hoping for. Yeah, in the world of giraffes, we've got
I
a
didn't know I
Kentucky
knew that
thing to
much, but I
check out.
did.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, we knew you would bring us up to date on that for sure. But yes, I know we've got a few minutes probably past what we normally would have because of course we got delayed in bringing you aboard. So, but I always want to give you a chance to talk about anything that you'd like to that we didn't mention tonight because I know we've covered the new books, what you're doing, Imaginary MCon Carolinas, of course, giraffes, of course, and we mentioned, of course, chairs, which is now
Yes.
associated with you too. But 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 anything else news wise that you'd like to cover before we wrap the show up tonight?
Well, nothing really much about me, but my granddaughter just graduated from high school magna cum laude. So that was
Nice.
Congrats.
cool.
Congrats.
Yeah.
That's
So
fantastic.
she's headed off to college in the fall. And this is one of the ones, those of y'all who know me know I'm raising two of my grandchildren. So this is one of the ones we've been raising for the last 10 years. She came to live with us when she
Mhm.
was 8. And so that's pretty exciting. And her brother graduated from middle school. And I got the nicest text message from his teachers. You know, they have, I don't know if all schools do this, but they have like grade day. It's like field day. So they had eighth grade day, and I got a text message that night from his science teacher telling me that, you know, they've spent a lot of time putting together eighth grade day and everything. It's a lot of work. There's a lot that goes into it. And it's not just that, it's all the stuff they're doing all year long. And my grandson, that afternoon thanked her for it. And she said, um, that doesn't happen. That 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 does nobody does that. Nobody ever thanks us. That was so wonderful. And we went to awards day for him, and he was on AB honor roll. And one of the other teachers, his English teacher, came up to me and she said, in 31 years of teaching, it's the only child who's ever thanked me. So that's the other
Oh,
grandchild we're raising, and so I'm really excited that things are, you know, it's been tough for those two, but I'm excited
Mhm.
that there's some good things coming out of it, and that's kind of
Yeah,
really where I've been focused the last few weeks is this into school and all of that kind of stuff.
fantastic.
So
Well, that's a
I'm
great
another person.
Well, that's a great note to end, and certainly, like, I've gotten to participate with raising grandchildren myself now since we've had three that have come to live with us, over the last
Yeah,
couple years, and
and you've
so
got some
yeah,
great little minions. I love your
yeah, they
minions.
and they are
yes,
they are
they are.
fired
They're
up, and
quite
they
handy.
look forward to seeing you in July. They'll all be there, so
Yeah.
so and they're doing well. They're yeah, they're getting some good grades
Their
too.
mom
Yeah,
just had brain surgery last
Oh
last
Thursday.
no.
Thursday.
So
Hmm.
Oh my
her
Went
mom,
well.
goodness.
Went well.
she's
Went
doing very
very
well.
well. Hmm.
Good.
Doing very well.
Hmm.
Good.
But her mom has been staying with us, so the kids have had both grandmothers all week.
Yes,
So
both.
they ain't got by with nothing.
How do you
Hey,
spell spoiled?
no, I'm getting spoiled because she's been cooking
Yes,
sausage biscuits in the morning, and I
Oh
that's one of my
wow.
favorite things in the world. So
I told them they all better get over that because I ain't getting up early every morning
yeah.
making breakfast.
So yeah, I've even gotten spoiled. Yeah, this
Yeah,
past
they're
few
getting
days.
spoiled.
Well, that is good
But
though. It's nice to be spoiled occasionally. I keep moving my chair, but
yes,
That's
sorry.
true. That's
Yeah.
true.
absolutely,
It's
absolutely.
nice every now and then to get spoiled. So
Now we know where to find you, of course, but
mhm.
yeah, some people tonight may not know where to find you online. So yeah, direct folks to your contacts, websites, or
Okay.
link trees, anything.
So I forgot to mention this. I have a new website, but it's the same website address, Barbara V. Evers, and that's the V in the middle is like V as in the Vogel, which is my maiden name. So
Mhm.
barbaraVevers.com. That's my new website. Although something weird happened on the homepage today, so if you go and there's something weird on there, don't worry about it. Just look at the rest of it. I've got the designer working on that. Um, but I have this great new website. Check it out because I'm really thrilled with it. And if you're curious about things I teach, if you go over to the
Mhm.
media page, there is a
Mhm.
link that says, have Barbara speak at your event, learn more, and you can get a PDF of all the different workshops I can teach at writing conferences. So, and there's a ton of
Mhm.
them. I was surprised when I put that list together how many there were. You could also, the best place to find my social media is my link tree. If you're not
Mhm.
familiar with Linktree, it's just one site that has all my links. And
Mhm.
I'm at
Mhm.
Barbara V. Evers on Linktree. So it's
Mhm.
got the links to all my books, the links to my social media, the links to that book promo I was talking
Mhm.
about, a newsletter sign up. My BookBub site, my Goodreads site, there's links to just about everything there. So that's the easiest way. But usually, if you're going to find me, if you look for me on anything, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, I'm usually Barbara V. Evers or Barbara V. Evers author.
Hmm.
But the link trees, you're the best go to because it's all right there.
Absolutely, and yes, and you mentioned the Vogel name, and we're looking forward to also seeing your brother Henry Vogel at
Yeah, yeah.
Imaginarium as well. So yeah, great to have you on the show tonight. Of course, yeah, you've been on a few times now, and
Number 4.
definitely want to have you back. Of course, for number 5, as you start rolling all these new titles out and new adventures and yeah, keep us up to date and in the loop. But thank you for joining us tonight. I'll let you and Holly wrap it up, but I really appreciate it. You're always awesome, an awesome guest.
Well, I love coming on here. I want to thank you guys so much. It's always so much fun to get on here and talk to y'all because we never have a lack of anything to say. And
No.
even
No,
though I wasn't commenting all the time, I love watching also the conversation in the chat because it's always entertaining too. And Moon, I love you, and chairs are so dope. So, but thank you, everybody. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody at Imaginarium this year.
you got it.
Fantastic. Well, Moon says he loves you too. We love you too.
Yeah, most certainly.
And we'll be seeing you real soon. So you take care, and I'll probably, well, I know I'll be emailing you before that because I've got panel surveys to send out hopefully this week.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, yeah.
thank you for being on, and yeah, welcome back anytime, and yeah, have a great evening, what's left of it, and we'll see you here in a few weeks. And everybody, join us next Wednesday, same place, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Another great guest, another great chat. Rest of the week, be creative. Good night, all.